I'm now sitting. You're not there. Okay. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Wednesday Night Gentlemen, the Multimedia Empire official podcast. This is episode number 12, episode number 2 of 2017. This is the show where we talk about comic books, movies, TV shows, video games, and everyone's favorite political discourse. I am your host, Tactic Angel, and with me is Midget Radio, my murderous socialist friend.
Hello.
Hi, Midget Radio. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I am super amped up.
Yeah?
Apparently, like in the last 30 seconds.
Is there some reason for that, or?
It's because I'm drinking whiskey.
All right.
This is a full octane episode.
That is different from other days.
It is, because sometimes we record in the morning and it feels a little bit weird. I've got a delicious glass of Ethan Cole.
Ethan Cole.
It is surprisingly affordable and also pretty tasty Canadian whiskey.
Oh, how aged is it?
It is aged long enough.
Yeah?
Yep.
What do they not tell you?
So I'm not sure if they tell you, because it's fine. You drink it, it's fine.
Okay.
It's like $17-18 a bottle.
Wow.
You're talking
that seems like pretty actually cheap, actually. Like
at that rate, you're just hoping that it doesn't taste like it's supposed to be cleaning engines.
Right.
And
it doesn't
if
taste
it's like
it's $18.
Yeah. It tastes like it's 25.
That's pretty good.
So, times and a half.
Nice.
I think that you have probably a glass of Glenlivet because you're uncreative.
I do. The 12 this time versus the 18. I find the 18 slightly too powerful.
Yeah.
It's effective.
Well, hey, and if it saves you money, and if that's what you like, that's what you like. It doesn't mean specifically that you're a pussy.
It's so good.
Anyway, so today we're going to be talking about a couple of topics, just two, as far as I'm aware. We will be talking about, and I believe this is how you put it, fat shaming Steven Seagal, also known as a retrospective look at the past 15 years of his direct-to-video career.
It's more of a question, I think.
Okay, so you have questions too? Because I wrote down some questions.
Okay.
Because I'm the one who's usually prepared.
Fantastic.
And also the so interesting and not at all controversial topic of hate crimes.
Not in the least.
Not in the least bit controversial. 0%.
No.
But first, we're going to talk about Steven Seagal.
Okay.
For the most part, I think we're all aware of Steven Seagal when he entered our perception in 1992 with sort of the dark horse film Under Siege, which at that point was, according to somewhere that I read that I did not source or write down, probably Wikipedia, the highest grossing movie ever to be released that was not reviewed prior to being released.
Oh, that's interesting. That's a unique piece of trivia. Huh.
Right? At the time. It's, I guess maybe something else. If they put it like that, it clearly has been surpassed.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
Since then, Steven Seagal has gone on to do other movies. Also, most of which weren't as good.
Yeah.
Well, no, actually, all of them were not as good as
all of them are. Yeah.
So just for a baseline, Midget Radio, what is your favorite post Under Siege Steven Seagal film, or maybe just your favorite Steven Seagal film that isn't Under Siege?
Okay.
Because clearly Under Siege should be everyone's number one.
Well, I would argue that that up until Under Siege, Seagal's career, his filmmaking career was at its highest point. I think what I'm looking at the list right now. Under Siege was the 5th movie that he was in. In my opinion, it's a string of 5 fucking fantastic films. After that, there's a sharp decline in quality. Interestingly, marked by On Deadly Ground, the first film he directs in his career. I would say though, this post Under Siege, that's a good question because, oh boy, there's a ton of movies there, but not a lot of quality. I haven't seen the majority of them. But if I had to pick one, I'd probably go with a little known film called Belly of the Beast. I think that was directed in it was done in 2003 or something, but not a bad movie. Directed by a Hong Kong action film director who amps up a lot of the martial arts choreography. And it's pretty fun stuff. But the plot's not bad either. But yeah, I'd go with Belly of the Beast to answer that question.
Okay. So clearly you loved everything up to Under Siege.
Fuck yeah.
Under Siege, I think, is clearly the high watermark of his career.
Yeah. Well,
at least in terms of public reception.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely in that realm. Yes.
And in terms of an action film, I think Under Siege, once you get past the big 3 of Terminator 2, Die Hard, and The Rock is up there in the golden age.
Yeah. It can compete for sure.
Yeah.
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 Absolutely. Okay. I would say up through of those first 5 movies, his golden years. I think I probably have a little bit more love for Marked for Death than any of the others. Marked for Death is the one where he's fighting a criminal gang of voodoo worshippers. It's a weird, dark movie with hints of magic in it. Can you hear me
laughing in the background?
It is a fucking great movie. Not in due in no small part to one of the strangest plot aspects of that movie is that he teams up with a fucking high school football coach to combat this criminal voodoo gang, played by Keith David, who's been in just tons of shit. But it's fun, it's weird, it's ridiculous, and it's coherent, and the action scenes are fantastic. It's also, I think, one of his bloodiest, most violent films.
Like tons of squibs, you mean?
Yeah, I'd say squibs. I'd say yeah, and a little. It's just it's brutal. It's definitely a more brutal film.
I'm a little bit sad about in general Steamroller Productions' use of digital squibs that's not even a nice way to say it, because they're not squibs at all. They're just fucking
it's cartoon blood. Yeah,
red pixels.
Yeah.
Every once in a while they get it smeared against the wall and it'll look okay. I don't know if that's because he's running around with ketchup on his back.
Maybe.
And then they just do the squib, the digital squib, the cartoon blood on front, and then he falls back into the wall and that's real.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So you would put this as fat shaming Steven Seagal. Why specifically that?
The question is, so as Seagal's career has gone on, and I would argue, I think that you start to see the weight issue
cratered
manifest itself. Probably around this time, the time of Belly of the Beast, this 2003 movie, where it becomes a little bit more apparent that he's hitting the gym less than he is the donuts and pizza. And yeah. So the question is, though, is it is it fat shaming to criticize Seagal's body type in this stage of his career?
Yes.
Okay.
It is completely acceptable to say this man is too fat and immobile to be in action.
I would
star.
agree 100%. Yeah.
And I actually had this on my list of my list of questions because what was the one that we all watched?
The Seagal movie?
Yeah.
I have not watched Code of Honor yet, if that is what you are talking about.
Code of Honor. God damn it.
It's not going to be a good movie. So.
You're always unprepared. It's actually fascinating.
I have two films that totally fall within this slide that you have not seen. That makes me better, is my argument now. Because I have two.
Have you seen, what was it, Force of Execution?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I don't really remember it, but yeah.
I didn't get through the whole thing because there's the first scene. Now I got through Code of Honor because I was under the mistaken impression apparently that you had seen the whole thing because you were fucking talking about it.
No, I just said I wanted to see Code of Honor.
There's no way you could have done it, man. You just had all this time and a Netflix subscription and it's right there.
Who gives a shit about Code of Honor?
So Code of Honor feels like it was written by an 11-year-old Steven Seagal.
Yeah.
It's just to watch it, it's just like, this is ridiculous. This is silly. This is stupid. And it starts to feel like comic book stupid, like fan film stupid.
Okay.
It's hard to watch.
Yeah.
And as it goes on longer, it becomes either easier or harder to watch, depending on whether or not you can live and appreciate, what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
But if you watch Force of Execution, I think they start the movie and within 5 or 10 minutes, Steven Seagal is facing down this young punk and he's badass. He knows all the kung fu.
Yeah.
And he comes at Steven and Steven takes, I think, what must be a whole step to the left.
Yeah.
And turns. But I feel like the cameraman takes 3 steps to the right.
Yeah.
So that you get that extra whoosh. Look at how mystical this man is.
Yeah.
Whoa, he missed that one too. And it's so in particular, do you think that in the latter years that Steven Seagal's movies bank on him looking like a badass because we've all seen Under Siege and we just associate Steven Seagal with badass?
Yeah.
And also clever editing and probably the mobility of the cameraman rather than actually anything he's bringing to the screen.
Yeah. I'm sure there's certainly some reliance on that. I will say though that even what's interesting about it, I think, is that the kind of martial arts that Seagal practices in his films, I think it's called Aikido, and it's generally it's a fairly receptive form of the art in which you're essentially waiting for the attacker to move first, and you're receiving all of that and redirecting that energy, I think is the general philosophy. So that style, I don't think his style has changed as much, because even in the early films, you see a lot of that same stuff. It's mostly, I grab this dude by the wrist and just move him wherever I want him to go. I throw him over a counter, I throw him through glass, stuff like that. That's pretty common in all of his movies from the very beginning. But the disparity, I think, between his ability to actually move in a reasonably quick manner, that has gotten harder to accept, I think.
Yeah. So I watched also A Good Man, which is also on Netflix.
Okay.
No, I'm committed to this.
Jesus.
You're fucking unprepared.
I am ready to talk about Belly of the Beast and Driven to Kill, a movie made more interesting by the fact that he plays a former Russian spy, I think. Or is it a spy, or is he? I think he's actually a former Russian gangster in that
so
movie.
It's like true to life
with a fucking Russian accent.
Do you think that his southern accent is a little bit too much in some of these movies?
Yeah, I don't know. Seagal's it's interesting to see it. I think it's in one of the 5 on Deadly, or no, not on Deadly Ground, Out for Justice. He plays a kind of, I think his character is supposed to be Italian, like a sort of Italian from New Jersey. And so he attempts to employ some of the speaking characteristics of that particular group, and it's a little distracting, but at the same time, I kind of really love watching it because it's fun to see Seagal try to branch out, you know. And
yeah, strangely, like CSI, what was it? No, NCIS Louisiana, whatever, with
holy shit,
Bakula trying to do a Southern boy accent,
kinda off and on.
I remember that you didn't think that was particularly good.
I didn't. I have a lot of animosity towards Scott Bakula that I don't have at all towards Steven Seagal, though. So.
Oh man. So, how much of the direct-to-film budget would you imagine is spent on hair dye in your average Steven Seagal movie?
I don't know what he's doing. It makes me a little sad, and it's sadder even compared to his contemporaries like Stallone, Schwarzenegger, JCVD. These guys all still look fucking great. I mean, they're still pretty cut. And they've this is not as true for Sylvester Stallone, because I think Sylvester Stallone is a science project in many ways. He's a successful science project.
But like, if you see Arnold Schwarzenegger in like Escape Plan, his hair is as gray as it gets.
Yeah.
And it is as crazy as it gets.
Yeah.
But he's still a badass.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, you don't get as much of it because I think Seagal is probably also dyeing his hair, but he does appear to embrace his age a little bit more. Whereas I watched in these movies that I watched for the purposes of talking to you about this thing that I care nothing about or know nothing about, is like they're all within the last year or two. And I did that because I was like, I want to see what's happening today.
Yeah.
And it is a sad state of affairs.
It is. It's depressing. And I think like he's someone who, you know, so many, I don't know. Part of the reason I wanted to talk about this is to talk about like what makes, you know, an authentic action movie actor. And so I feel like he had a lot of potential in the beginning, in those first 5 movies where he had like, he's one of these guys who's got a legit, you know, martial arts background, and who has a at least moderately compelling screen presence. And so often, you know, for these up and comers, you get one or the other on that, especially in just action movie actors in general. You either have somebody who can pull it off in front of the screen, but doesn't really have any kind of background in it, any kind of legit, actual real world background in it, or you've got the exact opposite of that. So it's nice to see somebody who can bring those two elements into a film. And Seagal, I think, was definitely one of those. And then as he started to, it kind of feels like as he started to gain a little bit more control over his career with On Deadly Ground, that's when things kind of started to fall apart. And it's just sad to see.
Yeah. Well, and to get back to your original point, like you have great actors, and I'm not saying that this guy's a great actor.
No.
But you have great actors like Orson Welles. And Orson Welles was kind of you know, maybe not the best of his time, but he was pretty fucking good.
Yeah.
And he goes from, you know, Citizen Kane. He's this young strapping man.
Yeah.
And then, like, at a certain point, he also stopped going to the gym and started going to the donut factory instead. And, like, I mean, that works more for him because he can still play Perry Mason.
Yeah.
We can see a fat asshole being, you know, a lawyer.
Yeah.
But when this, you know, 400-pound man who probably, you know, can't do a 100-yard dash inside of 20 seconds, and he's just like beating the shit out of guys who are a third of his age.
Yeah.
It starts to get like a little weird.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
Yeah. It becomes harder to suspend that disbelief. And I feel like it's more than fair to be extremely critical of that. I mean, I don't know. I mean, at least in my mind, I probably love this genre a little bit too much. But it feels like an abuse to me to put some fat bastard up on the screen and convince me that he can take out a room full of guys. It's absolutely ridiculous without running out of breath. I mean, immediately just collapsing and dying of a fucking heart attack right there.
Yeah. Even Trigglypuff got a little bit winded after a few keep your hate speech off our campuses. What other fascinating questions?
Just that I mean I feel like it ties into a little bit of what we talked about with Gina Carano. I think our mutual desire to see her do more films, because she's somebody who has I think she's definitely got, you know, the legit martial arts background in her actual life, and I think if she just spent some more fucking time in front of the camera, she'd eventually develop that kind of screen presence, because I feel like it's there, and I feel like there's at least there's a little bit of a spark there that probably just needs I think time and some nurturing to develop over the course of her career. And she's someone who's got I think one of the reasons that she's so important is that so often when you see like action movie heroines, and I'm thinking of like really obvious boring stuff like Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow, or even back in the day in the early like 80s era martial arts movies, we had, I think Cynthia Rothrock would have been the biggest name as far as female action heroes go.
I think that she has the most, like, she is the title actress on the most action films.
That's probably true. That's probably true. And she's got like a legit history there. But the thing that I feel like separates Gina from these people is that she's got a fucking like body on her. Like, she's got some fucking meat and she looks pretty goddamn cut. And I mean, she can be an intimidating presence. Which is something that, you know, it's something that you're generally used to seeing these male heroes like JCVD and Schwarzenegger bring to the screen. Steven Seagal used to kind of be able to do that and can't fucking do it anymore. But I don't know. It would be exciting to see her, you know, kind of take on this mantle, and move this goddamn genre forward. And I just, that's what's interesting to me about it. I feel like the action movie film is someone where actors and actresses should be judged, at least to some degree, on body type and relative fitness. I mean, you have outliers like Liam Neeson in Taken, and that's a great movie, but he's wearing long pants and a jacket, like a shirt all the fucking time, you know. Well, yeah, which is fine. It's fine.
And it's fine except for that one or two scenes where he had to run, and you're like, I don't know if he's ever run in his life.
Yeah, it's a little questionable, and it's Liam Neeson. You know, he does take him, like, he's not gonna ever be a Jean-Claude Van Damme or a Schwarzenegger or a Stallone. He's never gonna have that title. I think that those guys do, but Gina Carano definitely can, and I think she'd be a unique entry into I don't know, into this genre, I guess.
I would like it, and I think she would have to approach it from a Cynthia Rothrock point of view. And I'm really sad that there isn't more stuff of hers on Netflix. It seems,
I know, I agree.
It seems to me like it would be pretty cheap to get.
Right? Right?
And I would watch it.
I mean, unless it's just so fucking rare that it's like a collector's item now to get the goddamn like film, because I'm sure it's all like, all they have is maybe a copy of the actual film somewhere and some really old, outdated, shitty video transfers, and that's it. So I don't know. Maybe that's why. But
maybe
I would love to see. I used to watch those movies all the time, like Rage and Honor, her and Richard Norton, and she did a bunch of like movies in Hong Kong too that I haven't really seen any of, but I'd love to see that stuff on Netflix or Hulu.
Yeah,
because I mean,
what little I've seen, she has legitimate talent.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Action. Yeah, absolutely. She does. Yeah. Yeah. So it'd be, Gina Carano, I think could definitely do at a bare minimum what Cynthia Rothrock was doing all the way back in the goddamn 80s. It would be, I don't know. It's frustrating. I think In the Blood is a good starting point for her, and I'd like to see more of that.
Well, Haywire was even better.
Haywire was definitely better. One of the things, I mean, Haywire didn't really afford her much of an opportunity to like be a human being, you know?
No. I feel like they wrote and directed that around the fact that they're like, we're hiring an MMA person to be in this.
But she's got some ability. Like when we were watching in the Blood, that scene in the hospital where she's like really fucked up about trying to find her husband. That was pretty good. I mean, that was a pretty good scene. And actually one of my favorite scenes in that movie is after that initial bar fight, where her and her husband are dancing, people start some shit, and Gina has to bust some heads. After that scene, when they're in the car with that dude that they meet, who's kind of just driving them out of there to get them the fuck away from that fight. Like, there's such a cool moment in there where she's still like amped the fuck up. And I mean, you can just see it in her that she's about to, like, she's not out of this fight yet, in her headspace, and she's about to just rip up the interior of this fucking car. It's a cool moment and her husband's got to, kind of like calm her down. It's over. We're out of that bar. We're out of that area. There's nobody to fight here. That's a cool moment that, and that's just her. Like, that's just her kind of bringing that energy to the scene. So I feel like she's fucking got it. It just needs to be nurtured, I think, and developed.
Oh, what was it? Was it Almost Human?
Yes.
Is that?
Yeah. Yeah.
God, I'm so sad that was canceled.
I know. That was fun to see her on that.
Carl Urban in it was great.
Yeah.
And that she was going to be Psycho Assassin.
Yeah.
Robot or whatever the hell. That was going to be so good.
Be so exciting. I don't know.
So I don't think like to bring it back, Steven Seagal or that her Gina Carano have significantly lower amounts of legitimate acting talent than like Vin Diesel, who is for fucking no reason at all.
My God, I don't fucking get it. I will never understand it.
He's got like he watched a whole bunch of Humphrey Bogart things. It's like, if I mumble my lines, then I'm a badass,
and that's it.
No,
that's it. Like, he is he is one of the most fucking boring people to watch on. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I mean, I would generally write it off to just the success of the Fast and the Furious franchise, but Pitch Black, Chronicles of Riddick, there's nothing there. There's nothing in there. And then Triple X, but Donnie Yen is going to be in the Triple X sequel, so I don't have a fucking choice. I have to see that movie. It
was like Fast and the Furious, whatever the Gina Carano number was.
Yeah.
We had to see it.
yeah. I have seen that movie for one reason, and it was cool.
Do you think that like if you go back and you were to look at like the women who break into action, you have people like Linda Hamilton who is
Yeah.
a legitimate actress,
Yeah.
and then she kind of transitioned into that badass role.
Yeah.
Or more recently, you have like Emily Blunt in Edge of Tomorrow.
Edge of Tomorrow, yeah.
She looked like she could like lay some people out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you feel like, and I think like both of those are better examples of people who look like they could legitimately kick some ass, as opposed to like Scarlett Johansson, as much as we all like Black Widow, still looks like she's using a stunt double and wires to accomplish most of what she's doing.
Yeah.
But like Emily Blunt and Linda Hamilton clearly could kick some ass.
Absolutely. I think, I don't know, in my opinion, what makes Gina actually stand out a little bit more is that her body type is less conventional for, standard Hollywood fare, I think.
Yeah.
Because she's bigger. She's a little bit more built, and, Linda Hamilton and Emily Blunt are both extremely muscular in Terminator 2 and Edge of Tomorrow, but still incredibly lean. And I don't know that anyone would describe Gina as lean.
No.
But it's nice to see. That's just another thing that I feel like gives her a little bit of an edge. That just makes her stand out and makes her a little bit more unique.
Yeah. And we'd be wrong. But like all three of those, I mean, lean as they may be, I think that Emily Blunt and Sigourney Weaver and Linda Hamilton, they all look like they could hold their own.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. For sure.
They committed to it. Definitely. And they got beefed up in ways that like ScarJo hasn't done, and in ways that hopefully whatever the waif who's playing Captain Marvel decides to do.
Oh God, yeah, she needs. Yeah,
I don't remember her name. I shouldn't call her a waif, but she's a
tiny lady. Yeah, she's a tiny person,
a miniature woman,
and it's that's fine, but it's just. I want to be convinced that when she throws a punch, it actually does do some fucking damage.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of, it's like the Buffy paradox a little bit. Like Sarah Michelle Gellar. I mean, come on. Her stunt double, yes. Sarah Michelle Gellar, no.
Yeah. How does she lose weight whenever we see her face?
It's kind of incredible. But
oh man, I did really love watching her beat the fuck out of Michael Fassbender in Haywire.
Yeah, that was a good scene.
Was that Haywire?
A lot of good
scenes.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
I think it was.
That, yeah.
So we're pretty far afield of Steven Seagal here,
but body type.
Steven Seagal,
so I mean, is
a fat bastard.
Linda Hamilton,
and he should be
Emily
ashamed
Blunt
of himself.
Did some work, put the fucking time in at the gym to sell their roles, and Seagal has just utterly fucking goddamn failed to do the same, and it's frustrating and sad.
I think all of the Wednesday night gentlemen agree with that.
Yeah. Awesome.
All right, subject over.
What a good topic. What a great topic I suggested.
Why don't we leave the self-congratulatory comments until after the recording?
I don't feel like I get enough of it, so
it's because you also make 90% of the errors. Hate crimes. Ready?
Hey, can we take a break? I would like to get ice and then more scotch.
Okay.
Like a 2-second break.
Okay, and you're going to put the little...
Yeah.
I love that. Hate crimes have recently been in the news, probably most strikingly because of a kidnap, torture, and videotaping of a mentally deficient 18-year-old white man by 4 relatively young black adults. In spite of the evidence, it took the Chicago Police Department or the Chicago District Attorney's Office several days to decide whether or not they would pursue the 4 on hate crimes. In the end, they did decide to do that, though it may be because he is retarded and not specifically because he's white, even though they were on video saying, fuck white people and a whole bunch of other terrible things. Good times.
Yeah.
Good times. This is super serious compared to the others.
Oh, shit. Was it a few days? Because I don't know. Maybe that's why
it was between 2 and 3 or 1 or 2 business days.
Because I thought, like, I don't know, the morning that I had even heard about that crime, I thought was the first time we actually started even talking about it. And then, like, later that afternoon.
So it had actually occurred like 2 days before that.
Okay. That makes more sense then.
I don't know. Maybe the cops don't work on Saturday, but I've been pulled over plenty of times on the weekend, so I rather imagine that they do.
Plenty of times. What does that say about Tactic Angel?
That one
He's
time
being
it said
racially profiled. That's what I.
Oh shit! Shit! Do you remember that one time I got pulled over and it was because I hadn't re-upped my registration? I just had the horrible realization that I am probably in the same position right now.
Jesus Christ. You need to get your goddamn life together. This is
and other oh shit, my car isn't even with me now. Oh my god. All right, so hate crime legislation has been with us since like 1969 due to the federal hate crime law, which closely followed on the heels of the 1968 civil rights law and is most recently updated by the 2009 Hate Crime Prevention Act, which is codified in U.S. Code Section 18 Section 249 that we have both read.
Yeah, totally. That's federal?
That's federal.
Okay.
Yes, that's why it's called the U.S. Code.
Awesome.
Midget Radio. What is your general impression of hate crime legislation?
I do not have a strong position as to whether they are good for society or bad. So why don't you start? Because I feel like you have at least a clearer or stronger position as to whether they are a good thing or a bad thing.
So, I don't particularly like them conceptually.
Okay.
That is where I'm coming from.
Okay.
I'm coming from a person who did not grow up in the 60s.
Yeah.
So, to the extent that they were necessary in 1969, I can't speak to that.
Okay.
Because that was several years before either one of us was born. But like, to me, it seems that if you're going to do a crime, you're most likely going to do it. And when I say most likely, I mean severely the lion's share here, either due to greed or due to hate. So
Sure.
You usually will steal something if you're greedy, and you will harm it if you hate it.
Sure.
To that degree, I don't know. I don't know why your motivation for hatred is all that important to society.
So I understand that one argument, at least for hate crime legislation, is that crimes motivated by some sort of irrational bias against a group of people.
Is there rational bias?
Yeah. Like if it's a group of people that hate Tactic Angel, then it makes sense for Tactic Angel to be like, hey, these people are dicks and I hate them.
So outside of a cartoon character who has weird internet opinions,
outside of the group of people I associate with,
is
who all
there
hate Tactic Angel,
irrational hatred?
Then yeah.
They don't comment, thankfully, because the only comments we get are because you're fucking horrible.
It's because of I get hate crimed all the time on the internet by one person.
Okay.
Anyway, so the argument for is that these particular kind of crimes do greater harm to society in that they motivate backlash. So one person attacks a group of people that can incite retribution, I guess,
so this is like
one particular argument for
what you're saying is essentially like a white guy kills a black guy, and then like Black Lives Matter burns down Baltimore. That's the reason why we need hate crime.
That is one argument for that. I would not say that is the reason for it. But I am aware of that. And again, I don't really have a strong position either way on these. And I think part of the issue is that my understanding is that hate crime legislation is generally designed to punish more harshly things that are already crimes.
Yes.
That's true. As far as whether they're effective or not, or whether they're necessary, I mean, I don't really understand. I don't really coherently get where we're at, or where the country is on sort of punitive measures for particular crimes. I, at least in respect to, I'm not sure how effective it is, because generally here, if you murder somebody or you commit a crime, you go to prison, and the idea is that prison is an almost purely punitive measure to combat and to I guess reduce the motivation in others to commit crimes. And I'm not sure how effective that is on the surface. So I'm not sure that enhancing penalties for things that are already crimes is more effective than what it would be normally. I don't know.
I would be really surprised, because if you look into generally the effect of like training for diversity or tolerance tends to make people less tolerant. Like, there are psychological studies that prove that people, like, if you take a whole bunch of like kids, like we grew up, we had friends who were Chinese, Japanese, black, white, all the whatever, and you never really thought of it. It's just that they looked a little bit different, and that was cool. You looked a little bit different. I looked a little bit different. Everybody looks a little bit different. But then you take them and you put them in a course and you tell them you are different. Then they start seeing people as different, and then things kind of go south. All under the guise of supposedly like making us more accepting of all of our neighbors. And it hasn't worked out. I would not be surprised if hate crime legislation has had little to no effect on whether or not people are motivated to do the things that are already illegal.
Yeah, I don't know. And I wouldn't speak to it really until there was actually some real sort of, that's why I don't really have a strong opinion either way, is that I don't think it's, I'm not sure that we can really make that decision as to whether the sort of pragmatic effect of this legislation has had a sort of net positive or net negative impact on. I
bet it's pretty close to zero.
I don't know. I don't know. I honestly don't. I will say though that, so one of the issues I have is that, and I kind of felt like it would be difficult for us to discuss this issue without looking at, some actual cases that have involved hate crimes, because I think it's really dangerously easy to develop a kind of tunnel vision, since we're talking about this generally in the wake of a pretty heinous crime committed against a mentally disabled white person. And I don't want to view this entire issue through that particular lens.
It would probably be hard to argue back and forth, because there probably shouldn't be several sides to that argument.
Right. Yeah.
No, I think
so. So I just want to bring up one particular case, because I think in cases of like murder, and like serious battery, especially violent crimes, to discuss the sort of sentencing difference between I killed this person, so I got life in prison, but I killed this person because he was black, so I got 2 life sentences. Yeah. It becomes a little ridiculous, I think, to distinguish between the two. But in smaller instances where you have something like a sort of what I guess would amount to little more than vandalism. Like if specifically I spray painted like a flower at a Jewish cultural center for learning or something, that to me is different than spray painting a swastika on it. Or if it was a Jewish person's house, those seem like different. Those to me feel like different crimes. And one of them may just be purely vandalism, and the other one probably to some degree may be assault. So I do think that motive certainly does matter, and that when you look at it through that lens, probably the sentencing should be different for both of those crimes.
But that's to say that, like, as a judge, that you can't look at two things and absent the presence, because like anything you do, like even if you look at like the FBI warning before a video and it tells you, if you unlawfully copy this, you will be subject to up to $250,000 fine.
Yeah.
And up to X number of years in jail. And you're like, well, up to, or, I mean, clearly there's discretion there.
Right.
So.
Right. I don't know to what degree though. I mean, we're not, we're certainly not legal experts here. So I don't know to what degree. But yeah, I would hope so. But if that's difficult in the absence of hate crime legislation, then I don't really have a problem with its existence. If it enables people to be punished more harshly for essentially threatening what I think is definitely a direct fucking threat to the lives of someone. If you paint a fucking swastika on the side of their goddamn house, then I don't really have an issue with that. I don't really see what necessarily is problematic about that. Well,
see, I just wonder, like, let's just say same idea, synagogue. I go right, Tactic Angel rules.
Yeah.
That's ROOLZ rules.
Yeah.
Tactic Angel rules. Or, death to Jews.
Yeah.
Swastika. I feel like already I'm going to get a lighter sentence on average. I mean, like, all of this is based on your jurisdiction and based on the laws and in that particular area, and whether or not the judge ascribes motivation to that. I'm probably already going to get closer to the maximum sentence for saying death to Jews and drawing a swastika versus if I wrote Tactic Angel rules.
Mm-hmm. I don't know what the maximum sentence is.
I don't know either, but like, let's say, it's a year, 2 years, 3. Like, how long are you going to have to lock somebody up?
I don't know. That gets into the whole punitive aspect of which I don't.
But you're a
really
member
understand.
of society. You can make a judgment. You can.
Well,
you can
I have an issue.
Well, he's already going to be, like, most likely sentenced more harshly under the existing criminal code.
Right.
Do we need to then have a multiplier on top of that?
That seems ridiculous to me. I disagree generally with the idea that sending a person to prison should be just a purely punitive process. I think it's
all about math.
I think it's a little ridiculous to reduce it to math. So
you add up the evil and you multiply it by by the motivation, and that equals sentencing.
Yeah.
X times Y equals Z.
As two members
it's that easy.
Of the same society, I think we disagree on our approach to punishing criminal activity.
All right. So let's.
Yeah, I don't know.
Let's say that a hate crime is worse than a normal crime.
Okay.
Should reporting a false hate crime be worse than reporting any other crime?
I don't understand that question really.
So, like, there are a lot of basically falsely reported hate crimes, right?
Okay.
So, Recently, we've seen a whole bunch of them. There was a guy who burnt down his own church in the South and spray painted "Vote Trump" on it. Okay. Immediately, that was investigated as a hate crime. I think that was a little silly, but I understand why it would be investigated as a hate crime. There's a history of people burning down black churches.
Yeah.
Turns out it was a member of their own parish, and he probably did it just to try to convince people that all Trump voters hate black people.
Yeah.
Should he, at framing, in this case, it's kind of a nebulous organization of individual voters, be sentenced worse because he has clearly tried to create a racially motivated crime? Should he be sentenced worse than if he did any other false police report or any other arson? Maybe a better example would be like there have been several instances of like kids at campus. There was a Jewish girl at campus who drew a swastika and said all sorts of terrible things and posted it on her own door. She was a Jewish girl, and she was like, "Oh, look at this pervasive shit that's been going on."
Yeah, one of those self-hating Jews. Okay.
Well, no. I think what she was trying to do is she was trying to claim some victim status there, because it does legitimately have some power. It's an easy way to get your 15 minutes as long as you're never caught.
Yeah.
And then you get an extra 15 minutes when people tell you that you're,
because of the ×2 multiplier. As
well,
some fucking
because people have to go back and basically correct all the reports saying,
right,
this didn't happen.
Right.
So should those people be sentenced worse for reporting a false hate crime than they are for reporting like, somebody stole my watch?
Right.
Just kidding.
Yeah.
I never owned one.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you could make a case for it. Yeah. I mean, you could use the same kind of reasoning anyway, that that kind of thing poses a danger to society because because of the same shit that it could incite a sort of backlash response, which I'm sure it's done before. So, yeah, I mean, I think you could make an argument for it. I don't care. It's still a crime. I mean,
but midget radio doesn't care either way.
Yeah, because it's still a crime, and without I think any real, I think, hard data, because you haven't seen, while this stuff has existed, I don't think it's really been actively prosecuted in any way, at least as far as sentence enhancement. It's been like since the 80s, I would say. And
you mean hate crime?
Yeah, as far as prosecuting and sentence enhancement for officially charging people with hate crimes. And a lot of this stuff will, I think, generally take place at the state level rather than the federal level anyway.
True.
But just to kind of, and I think to push back on some of the false reporting, I mean, certainly there is that, but then there are crimes as well that seem rather obviously motivated by a racial bias that are not prosecuted as hate crimes. So it's, it's possible that at the end of the day, it kind of just balances out anyway. But like I said earlier, I did kind of just review some similar or some cases because that to me seems like that's where the discussion needs to be focused as far as the cultural perspective on hate crime legislation. So and this kind of goes back to the idea that like you kind of opened this segment with, certainly racism was a much more, I think, in your face issue in the 60s, in the when the Civil Rights Act was founded and implemented. I mean, you've got people at different water fountains, and I mean, that's all pretty goddamn apparent at that point. But here's a case that was in 2002 where a black man was found chained to a fence in Oklahoma City. Let's see here. He had been set on fire and covered in wooden pallets. The guy who had murdered him had Ku Klux Klan tattoos all over his body and was a member of the KKK. That crime was not actually prosecuted as a bias motivated incident. I don't know fucking why. But that's a 2002. That's a 2002. Pretty clearly, I think racially motivated crime that wasn't prosecuted as such for whatever fucking reason. And I don't know. There may have been a legitimate issue behind not prosecuting it that way. I don't know what it is, but I would defer to the experts on that. But that kind of
a lot of the issue with charging for hate crime is because you're basically requiring the jury to, beyond a reasonable doubt, 12 people, or however many, depending on your jurisdiction, they can be slightly smaller. But 12 people have to then become mind readers. And if you get you get down to the
some are clearer than others, but
if you've got a guy with swastikas painted on his body and he's running around killing black people and Jews and whoever, then it's easier to say reasonably, I'm pretty sure that's bad. I'm gonna guess he's still gonna go to jail for life or death. One or the other.
So the sentence enhancement aspect of it, I don't know. I think that would only make a difference for basically non-violent crimes.
And I think you're gonna end up with it anyway, because for the most part, the vast majority of us in the United States view assaulting someone because of what they are rather than who they are as particularly shameful.
I don't know though. I don't know if it's a simple assault, like if it's I threaten to do bodily harm to you for this particular reason. And it's a racially motivated reason because you're a fucking white person, even though I'm white as well. Well,
there are people who are charged with hate crimes for crimes against their own race.
I don't know. That'd be interesting. I don't know if there are.
There are, in fact, people who are charged with it.
I would like to see those particular cases. But it's that certainly it's possible. But I don't know I don't know if there is a like a significant difference in sentencing for one versus the other.
A black woman named, I believe Sharmika Moffat was badly injured. She wrote KKK messages on her own house, and then set herself on fire.
Wow. That's interesting.
She was charged with a hate crime, and she was convicted and sentenced to 10 years. By the way, she nearly died, according to some of this stuff.
Well, she sounds crazy, so that's generally how mental health is treated nowadays anyway. Just go to fucking prison.
Her sentence was unfortunately commuted. And instead she was given a fine plus court fees and 4 years of probation. Wow. Like, there's lots of stuff out there. And like, when I look at it, if you're going to say a crime is worse if you can prove that the person was thinking this, then it's worse. I think if you fake it, if you're also trying to get people to think that, then it also ought to be as bad.
Sure.
But in general, I am against the idea of thought crime.
I don't know. I hesitate to take it to that. I feel like that's taking it to a different extreme. I think certainly motive matters. Motive clearly matters, and it's an element in proving a particular case, especially when it comes to a murder or an act of violence or something like that. It's clearly an element, and I think to suggest that that prosecuting an issue because of motive is automatically a thought crime that strikes me as a little extreme.
But you can't. Okay, like if I give you a situation that I'm a successful or more successful version of myself, and I have a beautiful wife and kids, and I come home and she's getting, banged by some Puerto Rican guy. I'm gonna say Puerto Rican because it's.
Well, you have a long established history of hatred against Puerto Ricans, so
yeah, because I've ever met one. And I walk in and I just shoot both of them.
Yeah.
And somebody next door hears me say whatever the hate speech is for a Puerto Rican guy. Say I call him so I say, you fucking Ricky Ricardo motherfucker. Even though I think he's Cuban, right?
I have no idea.
So anyway, I say some bullshit and then I blow him away. How do you know that I was doing that because of hate? I get charged with the hate crime, probably.
Yeah,
for saying all this racist shit before I fucking shot him 13 times, reloaded and shot him 13 more times.
Well, that's a lot of times, but that's a lot of bullets.
Well, like the first 2 or 3 are to get the job done, and the rest is just to be humane. You don't want him to suffer.
Oh, that's it. It's an act of mercy. I see.
Yeah.
I see. Okay.
Your Honor.
I'm glad you thought about this, but
no, but like what's to say that I didn't do that just because I was mad that my wife in this bizarro verse was banging another guy.
Well, your
and I just
fucking defense attorney, I hope, is presenting that particular side of the argument to the jury. I think to couch it in those terms is a little disingenuous, because if you have a fucking history of hating Puerto Ricans and just randomly attacked and killed fucking Puerto Rican, it's a little easier, I think, for a jury of 12 people to say, yeah, that guy just seems to hate Puerto Ricans.
Yeah.
So, it depends on the case. It's not as arbitrary as I attack a black person, so that must be a hate crime. That's ridiculous. I understand if sometimes social media and the American and certain Americans may feel that way because that's how it looks like. That's what it looks like in the media. But I think to suggest that actually plays out in court is a little absurd. So I think to suggest that the jury has to be a bunch of mind readers is ridiculous. It's still on the prosecutor to prove that particular motive was a factor in this crime. And there are absolutely instances like the one I just fucking brought up where that hasn't happened. He's got KKK tattoos on his goddamn body, but nope, it's not a hate crime. So
what was the outcome of that?
I
assume they buried him beneath the prison anyway.
Right, I'm sure. Yeah, that's a pretty heinous crime regardless. So yeah, the whether sentencing enhancement, I think, is actually effective and mitigates these kind of crimes, I think is a good question. I don't think there's enough data to suggest that.
Everybody knows there are sentences for doing crimes. They continue to do them. I don't think you think. Mm-hmm.
That just makes me wonder whether being a purely punitive system is actually all that effective or not. That's my issue with it.
So to go back to the thing that kind of got us on the whole, and I admit I was a little bit more fired up about this than you were.
Yeah.
When the whole thing came out and you're just like, these people kidnapped a mentally retarded young man and abused him and cut into his scalp and put their cigarettes out on him and made him drink water from the toilet. And that's all fucked up. Mm-hmm. When I looked at that and you're like, well, you got a video and they're clearly saying a whole bunch of racist shit.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you just say, yeah, we're going to charge him with hate crime?
I think that's a good question. Yeah.
If it doesn't stick, then it just doesn't stick.
Yeah.
I don't know what the 12 people on that jury are thinking.
I don't know what they've seen. I don't know what I beyond that, is that video just enough? Because clearly, in certain instances, Ku Klux Klan tattoos aren't fucking enough. I mean it's hard to say, I think, because when we're given that information, we're given a fucking snippet of everything that is actually going to be presented in court. And I think to draw some larger conclusion based on and this is based on those kind of stories is a little irrational and unfair.
Well, I think if you, all right. So like you're so early in this particular process that there's no question about what's admissible as evidence, because it's not even like they've been at that point even charged with anything. Mm-hmm. They're just being held.
Yeah.
So like if you're the police or the district attorney and you're putting this together, you say, yeah. But then if you go and you start going through discovery and all that stuff, and then the judge says, for some fucking reason, the Facebook live stream is inadmissible as evidence.
Uh-huh.
If he says that, then you go, well, yeah, shrug your shoulders. I'm not going to win a thought crime beef without that evidence. Then don't waste your time.
Right.
But at the very beginning, when you're like, yeah, I mean, like they're saying some pretty racist shit here. Maybe we should just like charge them with everything and let a jury of their peers decide.
I don't know. I don't know what we're not attorneys, so it's hard to speak to. It's hard to speak to that, I think.
Why I was a little bit bewildered is because it's like, well, yeah, it's a hate crime. It's the same reason why when the guy down there in Greenville, North Carolina, burned his own church down and they started immediately investigating it as a hate crime, you go, well, yeah, I mean, that makes fucking sense. Even if it ends up being a hoax or false, I mean, it's still arson, but it's even if it turns out not to be specifically a hate crime as defined in your jurisdiction, you just say, yeah, we're investigating it as a hate crime.
Yeah.
Why not?
I don't know why that would be. I don't know. And I think it's hard to argue it without, I don't know, having a deeper knowledge of the hate crime legislation, because obviously people don't pursue. We see people drop these kind of charges all the fucking time in different cases. I mean, here's another one that occurred in 2001 where an individual, let's see here, witnesses overheard this individual saying and telling the arresting police officer as he killed this Asian guy, this guy from Laos, and stated to the arresting police officer, "Those Asians killed my brother and uncle in Vietnam. Call it payback." This is a random attack against an Asian person for apparently possibly having something to do with the Vietnam War, and that the hate crime indictment in that was dropped. That was never pursued, and I don't know why. So I think to suggest that I want to make sure that we're not doing this. That we are just arguing that these things are dropped because it was an attack on a white person and not an attack on a black person or a person of a.
No, I think your comment there was completely illustrative of the sort of thing that the Blue Sky Giant was talking about, and that we should have probably invited him on because he does have some criminal background. He doesn't know. Like,
he'd be totally. He just want to play GTA and fuck that up for us, and that's.
He was surprisingly good at it.
He was present.
Surprisingly
he was
good.
Present.
He shot you in the face and you died a whole bunch of times.
That's true, but he is a cheap fuck. So
anyway, his comments were basically that it's hard to prove because it is. Yeah. You have to prove motivation, and motivation is inherently a thing that you and I will never appreciate to any exacting nature, because it's not impossible.
It's not impossible.
Fucking Jean Grey.
It's not. You do not have to be a mind reader to reasonably believe or reasonably prove someone's motivation is hate based. Like the guy who shot up the fucking black church, Dylan Roof, right? I just wanted to kill some fucking black people. I mean, that you don't have to do any real work at all to prove that, yeah, that guy's probably a goddamn racist. Yeah, probably the fact that they were black motivated that guy's willingness to murder. That seems pretty straightforward. Didn't I see that
they are going after the death penalty the last week or two for Dylan Roof?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I hope.
Which is another good conversation we could have about whether the death penalty and... Because my larger issue with hate crime legislation has to do with just the penal system in general, and what we as a society have decided to do with people who break the law, and whether those actions are actually effective in general. Man. That's the part
I can picture it already. You're going to compare me to Judge Dredd.
You are Judge Dredd, but see.
I'm such a fucking badass that you can compare me to Judge Dredd.
I mean, you see guys who go to jail. Clearly, they have a lot of mental illness, and while they're in prison, they're on medication, and then they go on parole. Now, all of a sudden, they're in a situation where they've got to establish a place to live. They've got to find fucking work. And they've got to be able to continue to pay for the medication that is now not being provided by the state. I'm not sure that that's the most effective fucking way to handle criminals. Because it's like if we're not serious about rehabilitation, if we're not serious about trying to help these people reestablish themselves in American society in a responsible way, and make sure that they can actually fucking pay for their ability to maintain themselves as American citizens, as law-abiding American citizens, then I don't understand how just punishing them in prison is really an effective means of reducing or dealing with crime. So the ×2 modifier, I don't feel like that answers the question, but
well, you have to add it up and then you multiply.
Oh, maybe that's it. I'm just not carrying the fucking one, I guess, is the problem.
That's probably a subject that is too big and too far.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, but that's why I can't say that I have real strong feelings one way or the other on hate crime legislation. And all I care about really at the end of the day is the pragmatic application of it, whether it has reduced instances of bias motivated crime or not. I mean, I'd be surprised if the answer was yes, but at the same time, I'm not going to make a judgment call on it.
How would you even look at that?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know exactly how you would measure it.
Because I think like if you looked at it from 1968 until today, you would see that there are probably fewer legitimate hate crimes.
Right.
And probably.
So could you attribute that to some degree to hate crime legislation and the Civil Rights Act and stuff like that? Federal government intervention has actually reduced. Is that possible?
I think that you'd have just as easy a time saying that because Captain Kirk kissed Uhura on Star Trek, that therefore, like seriously, there were letters written to Shatner that say, I don't much care for intermixing the races, but I'd kiss Lieutenant Uhura.
Yeah.
Too. Or some, like, just completely yokel, hillbilly sort of stereotypical stuff, followed by, but I get it.
Right.
Uhura was hot.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'd do her. I wouldn't.
I wouldn't do her now.
No, that's pretty.
Michelle
Nichols
Nichols is like
you need to go
90.
back in time
like
for that. I'd probably do Pam Grier right now, but yeah, probably not Michelle Nichols.
Well, there's what's her face? Who's the new one?
Interesting note: Pam Grier stars alongside Steven Seagal in his first movie, Above the Law, and I think elevates that movie to levels Seagal couldn't accomplish himself.
Have we discovered, is it Zoe or Zoe Saldana?
I'm sure it's Zoe. Why would you think it's Zoe?
I don't fucking know. I don't make any presumptions on how to pronounce people's names.
To pronounce words.
Unless it's like
definitive proof on how to pronounce words before doing so.
All right. if your name is Chris, I am pretty comfortable saying Chris.
Right.
But like if you get too far afield from that, it's just like
if it's with a Y,
I don't know.
Maybe it's Christ.
Yeah, right? My name's not Lemon Jello, it's Lemangelo.
This is getting better and better and more coherent as time goes on. I like that we save the political and social stuff for last, because it's really only appropriate to talk about it when the scotch has settled in.
Yeah, right?
I think.
There are several reasons for that process improvement.
Right? I feel like it's mostly just scapegoating, because if I say anything that's too offensive, well, I mean, that's the scotch. And I mean, this is a goddamn Irish whiskey, so, you know.
Do you want me to sabotage you with a question?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
What do you think of recent celebrities' call for President Obama to invoke martial law to prevent Trump from becoming president?
I mean, now that I'm a few drinks in, I think that would be amazing.
All right.
But also, I'm trying to form a militia out here in the desert based on Viking culture. So
you have
whatever gets us closer to a kind of Mad Max vision of the universe, I'm for.
Actually, that was Rosie O'Donnell.
Oh, isn't it just O'Donnell?
O'Donnell.
All right. So a fictional person.
It was Rosie O'Donnell. She said it. I'm sure she has several things against Trump because she has been fat shamed for several years.
That's right. She can't do any action movies. Stupid
She
bitch.
cannot. Even her performance in A League of Their Own was highly questionable at the time due to her mass and gravitation.
Not that we haven't
forces.
seen Fappy, no. The Cubs had a closer once. I can't remember his name. He was a fat bastard.
Well, I mean, like, if you look back to Babe Ruth, he was
that's true.
Thin guy.
That's true. Babe Ruth. Yeah.
I kind of had to take it all back.
These are good points.
Any more thoughts on hate crimes or fat shaming Steven Seagal?
No.
I think we're gonna have to call it an episode then, right?
I guess. I feel like it's just now getting good though, but okay.
Oh, we should have had a third thing.
We should have had a third thing.
Maybe we should always record in the afternoon.
Yeah, maybe we should. I like this.
Which affords us more opportunity to be drinking.
Yeah, I like this a lot. Whatever enables that habit.
Right?
Yeah.
We should enable the alcohol.
I think so.
All right, well, that has been episode number 11? 12 of Wednesday Night Gentlemen, the Multimedia Empire official podcast. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Feel free to hit that like or subscribe button down at the bottom. We hope you've enjoyed our banter. We will see you on episode number 13 of Wednesday Night Gentlemen, where I think we will be talking about comic book superhero costumes or something.
Awesome.
Yeah. It's going to be a good time.